From what you let me know, you didn't even know that there was a Dragon Ball card game.
Bro, I knew that there was one, like, because I had friends of mine that played a Dragon Ball card game like 6 years ago or something like that. And I own like 3 DBS cards because like a viewer of mine sent me some at some point, and that's the extent of what I know.
All right, cool. To kick us off, I'll kick you off with a leader card. So little context. Leader cards are double-sided. Oftentimes they'll have some kind of a condition that allows you to go into the flip side, which is more powerful.
So like Force of Will. Awesome.
Yeah, very, very similar to that in that sense.
So double strike, this card inflicts 2 damage instead of 1 when attacking. And awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. When this card attacks, you draw 1, and it also has double strike. Okay, well, I mean, so you said you had 8 cards as your life. So basically, this is when your life is half or less, you can go into the big boy, and the big boy ramps a ton of cards.
Pretty standard that most leaders in the game, once you get to half life, and almost every leader is 8 life, usually by the time you get at half, you can flip over and get the more stronger side.
Okay, and is there any way to flip it back?
I would say for the most part, it stays OP. There's a couple of cards that'll flip it over, but it's pretty rare. And to be honest, I don't even think we see that until like 10 sets into the game.
Okay, fair enough. Would you say that 15k is Yu-Gi-Oh's equivalent of like 3,000? Or is it like really high attack? Is it not super high attack?
I'd say it's closer to like 2,000. It's like very middling. I'd say the lower bound is like about 5,000, I would say, for very weak cards. Like these are like your cantrips and stuff like that. And then on the higher end, your boss monsters are like 35k, 40k. It's pretty weak. Yeah, it's like just enough where once you start playing 2 or 3 costs, then they can start dealing damage. On average, though, almost every leader in the game is 10k on its front side and 15k on its back side.
I get a feeling that the effect is very strong. I mean, it ramps you cards like crazy. Does this game like have cards that draw a ton in general? Like, does this game have like a Pot of Greed or like a Graceful Charity or something like that? Or is drawing cards like an effect that's fairly rare in the game?
Drawing is everywhere in the game. I would say like this game is equivalent to like card chess because of how much you draw. Your leader swings draw cards. Most cards that you play will often either cantrip or draw you cards. Advantage is very easy to come by in this game.
Okay, so this feels pretty basic then. This feels like low attack. Effect isn't something that's too crazy. I'm gonna assume this card is, I wouldn't say bad, but I'd say it's pretty mid. Like I wouldn't put it like high tier. I'd say this is probably like just like an okay card, not great.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good evaluation. The card is literally like fine.
Let's go.
In the first set, it was pretty low powered. You could see a desire to be able to do this and play like an aggro strategy because dealing 2 damage can be pretty impressive. But when you consider the utility that all the other leaders in the game kind of provide, this card never really saw play. It's like if you could play it, I would think it's funny. And there's a couple of synergies that work with the Goku leader. But otherwise, yeah, I think you're pretty ball on the money. It's literally fine, but fine is just not good enough most of the time.
We got a point.
All right, moving on to our next card here. Pretty iconic to Dragon Ball as a whole. We got Succ Bean.
Activate battle. Choose up to 1 of your cards that gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then choose up to 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode. So it untaps 2 land, basically, if I'm going to speak in magic terms or whatever.
Yeah.
So it gives you back 2 resources. So it costs 1, heals back 2 resources, and buffs your guy. This seems broken. This seems cracked. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with this is fucking broken.
This card's absolutely insane. One of the most broken cards, one of the most used cards ever in the history of the game. It's still legal today, but did finally get an errata about a year ago, where it restricts it to defense only. So only during your opponent's turn. The amount of decks that were broken because of this card, and people tried to justify that the card itself wasn't the issue. When it's like, oh yeah, you know my 4 energy this turn actually turns out to be like 8.
So you play 4 ofs, and if you like draw multiple of this, I don't see a once per turn on this, and the fact that it replaces its own mana is broken.
Yeah, it's super good. The extension's insane, and the buff stays for the turn. So defensively, you can buff your leader also, and then it's just like your opponent needs to neg more cards the entire turn to be able to actually deal damage.
That's wild. That makes sense. Yeah. I figure this card would be pretty freaking good. That seems broken.
Yeah, super good. The fact that they never got rid of it is crazy. Okay, moving on, we've got Raccoons Eraser Gun.
Counter attack. So I assume this is if a card is attacking you?
Yep, so if you declare an attack, you have a window where you can use a counter attack.
If your leader card is yellow, negate that attack. Afterwards, the opponent's battle cards are unable to attack for the duration of the turn. So I take it yellow is just like one of the different colors of mana that you can have, clans and stuff?
Exactly, yeah. So like clans, in Dragon Ball, you have red, blue, green, yellow, and black. So yellow is a very stally color.
It's basically threatening roar. I mean, I feel like stopping an entire battle phase, well, not battle phase, but like stopping attacks for an entire turn seems really good. Like this costs what? 2? I don't know how expensive that is.
It costs 4, and 2 of those have to be yellow.
Oh, it costs 4. Oh, this actually seems ass. 4 feels like a high number to be paying. I mean, I guess it's like a late game thing, and I assume late game you're gonna have a lot of energy. Because like this feels like if you're super low on resources and your opponent's going for like a final push for game, you just go, okay, 1 card, and that buys you a turn. It seems mid. This doesn't seem crazy. Unless there's like a way to recycle this card and kind of like loop it, so you have this protection every turn. I don't think this card is very good.
Yeah, this card's cheeks. It's never seen play.
Let's go!
There's a version of it that's very similar that only costs 1. And you kind of pinned it down on the dot. It's the fact that it's just so expensive. On average, I'd say Dragon Ball games end at about turns 5, 6. So there is a world in which this could see play, but because you're not actively doing anything on your turn, just 4 is just way too expensive.
Yeah, I figure if this was like a 1 or 2 cost, it'd be like fine. But the moment you said, yeah, it costs 4, I was like, whoa, no, that's no bueno. We don't like that.
Fan favorite character. We've got Jiren Universe's strongest, huge boss monster.
Bro, they're out here telling me that Yu-Gi-Oh cards have a ton of text. What is this, dude?
Dragon Ball gets a little crazy.
This card isn't affected by counterplay skills. This card inflicts 4 damage instead of 1 when attacking. Permanent. When there are 9 or more Universe 11 in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 6. Is Universe 11 like a archetype of card?
Yep, it's an archetype. So at the bottom corner, you'll see that cards have traits, oftentimes multiple traits. Universe 11 just happens to be an entire archetype.
Okay, so if you're playing this in its like archetypal deck, the more of those cards you've played reduces the cost of this card by 6, so it'll drop it to a 6 instead of a 12. Permanent. During battles, when this card attacks, your opponent may not activate counter or blocker. So if this is swinging, it's going through regardless.
Yep.
Okay. When you reduce this card's cost by 6, can you choose to reduce the 6 yellow, or are you gonna basically always gonna be paying 6 yellow for this?
You're always gonna be paying 6 yellow.
Okay. I mean, this feels really good. It inflicts 4 damage instead of 1. That feels like the moment this card hits the board, like you're closing out the game immediately. I think the only possible downside I could see to this card is if the Universe 11 archetype is just really bad, because in that case you're just like, oh yeah, you could play this really broken card, but you have to be playing a shit deck to make it. If that's not the case, then I think this card is probably really good. If the archetype's bad, then this card's probably ass. But I'm gonna guess that this card is like fucking insane, and when it hits the board, the game's over.
You're pretty on the money in terms of like if the archetype is bad, and unfortunately this archetype was ass.
Yeah.
So like you're pretty correct there. Like if you play Jiren, you probably just win the game. On average, most leaders in the game awaken by turn 2 or 3, which means by the time you get to 6, this is 100% just OTKing your opponent. It's huge. It's a 40k, almost guarantees goes through unless for very specific cards. The problem is the archetype was like super unplayable, and oddly enough, we'd never got a good Jiren card until like 3 years down the line. So some people have tried it. I've tried to mess with it. You can cheat it out and play in a certain way, in a few ways, but it just never got there.
Yeah, I mean this felt to me like something along the lines of like Chaos Max and Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Where like Chaos Max is a boss monster for the Blue Eyes deck or whatever, and the Blue Eyes deck is just so bad. But like if Chaos Max hits the board, typically it's like unoutable and you're winning the game. But like, you have to be playing Blue Eyes to make it.
Yeah, it's about getting there.
Yeah, okay.
Our next leader card. This one is Super Dragon Balls. On the Awakened side, we have Super Shenron.
Okay. Damn, there's a lot of text on this. So it can't attack when it's the Dragon Balls. Switch this card to rest mode. So I guess that means tap it.
Yeah, tap it.
To do one of the following two. Oh, choose the Dragon Ball cards from your deck or life and add them to your hand. Is Dragon Ball cards another archetype type thing?
They're like a spell card that have the trait Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay.
And wish is like you saw with the first leader. It's just a different word for awaken, which means just flip this guy over.
You basically have to pick any 2 Dragon Ball cards. And I assume that's every turn, because like I assume they untap on your turn.
Yep. Every single turn you get to look for 2 with the goal of finding 7 so that you can awaken, or wish in this case.
I don't even feel like you need to. Like, how good are the Dragon Ball cards? The Dragon Ball cards you're adding, do they have like, are they like runic spells in Yu-Gi-Oh where they're like good, or are they just like cards with very basic shitty effects?
They're all right. I mean, I would say their main purpose is to allow your leader to awaken or wish in this scenario, but they have a multitude of effects. They're ones that cost 0 and they just cycle you a card for free. So effectively on this front side, if you're getting them from your deck, it's almost like saying draw 2. There are some that do cost 2 energy. Like there's one that costs, I believe 2 and lets you draw 4, discard 2.
Permanent, this card can't attack. So on the Shenron side, activate main once per turn, choose one, either draw 1 or choose 1 desire card from your hand with an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and activate its main skill So basically it lets you play a Desire for free, essentially.
Yep, lets you use the spell for free.
Remove 7 Dragon Ball cards in your drop area from the game and choose 20 cards from your drop area, then shuffle them into your deck. If you do, flip this card over at the end of the turn and take another turn after this one. I'm gonna be honest, the Shenron side doesn't seem super like wild to me, but it's a Dragon Ball side that looks really good to me. Any card that says every turn add 2 of whatever the you want of these like types of cards from your deck to your hand will always seem really insane to me as a Yu-Gi-Oh player. If there was a card that literally just started off on the field in every turn, it could just go like, okay, I'm gonna get a +2 every turn with choosing the cards that I want. That sounds hella broken to me. I feel like the Shenron side isn't super crazy, but I feel like the Dragon Ball side is nuts. So I'm going to go that this card is pretty good.
This card was actually so broken, it got banned in like a month.
Wow, okay.
But actually not because of the Dragon Ball side. Don't get me wrong, that part's super good. Wish leaders, which are the ones that work with Dragon Balls, often always have a massive hand. Like 13 cards hand are not uncommon for this type of deck because exactly, you get to draw 2 every single turn, you're taking life and so on and so forth. Everyone thought this was absolutely cheeks. This would never see play. But then it actually just turns out that with a bunch of yellow cards, you're actually able to fill up your drop really, really quick with a bunch of cards that are effectively free. So you basically flood the board. Nothing has summoning sickness, so you can attack into your opponent, take another turn, do it all over again.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. That seems good. Like, there are cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That take another turn, and they were never really good. So I didn't picture this would be significantly better than what we would see in Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've never done it again. And it got eroded. So it didn't get banned. It got eroded to where now it takes 30 battle cards, and that's like an impossible condition. Like you'll never just get there.
Okay. So I assume people don't play this anymore?
No. It was broken. It was the most miserable locals experience for like a month, and then it was gone.
That's super fair. Funny. Okay.
All right. We've got the legendary Flute.
Cost 0. That's already looking broken to me. Activate main. If your leader card is blue, choose up to 1 of your or your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and return it to its owner's hand. If that card was your own battle card, draw 1. So is a battle card like a monster in Yu-Gi-Oh, or is that like
it's a monster, a creature.
Okay.
So any monster or creature that costs 3 or less. A minion.
Okay, so any guy that costs 3 or less from the board, bounce it. A free card that bounces a 3 or less seems like it would be really good. I don't know, that seems crazy. That also seems like it could allow for some combo potential. Like if you drop a guy that's like a 1-drop that has a good on summon effect or something like that, you can use that, bounce it for free, cast it out again, and then use their effect again or something like that. I feel like that's a kind of combo that I would look to do with a card like this. I feel like this card's pretty good.
Yeah, you're bang on. This card is banned.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like being able to bounce your opponent's thing is like niche and pretty like good utility. But it's exactly like you said. The combo ability of just being able to bounce my own thing, draw a card because I bounced my own thing, replay the thing I just did, because most cards don't have limits on like once per turn abilities for the most part, at least this early in the game, just led to you being able to play these really cheap 1-drops that allowed you to take your own life. You can awaken much quicker. And then usually with blue leaders, you could take your energy back when you awaken and then be able to continue your play. So this card actually led to a turn 2 kill strategy that was consistent. Like half the archetype got banned after like about half a year. Yeah. So it turns out cantripping for free, pretty good.
Yeah, this card seems really fucking busted, man.
We have our first secret rare. You can only include 1 secret rare in your deck at all.
Union Potara. Son Goku and Vegeta plays this card in active mode on top of the 2 specified cards stacked together. So I assume this means you need to have Son Goku and Vegeta on your board, and then you make this card basically by combining those 2 together.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like I think XYZ where they get material essentially.
Okay.
You don't pay off the material for anything, but the benefit here is that you can attack with those 2 cards, and this will come back in active mode. So you can also attack with this card after having attacked with the other ones. Yeah.
So my question for this is, I assume you need to have drawn this card or searched it. You can't just like play it from deck or something like that.
That is correct. It needs to be in your hand, and those 5 red pips means that it costs 5 to use that Union Potara ability.
Okay, so you can pay 10 to play this, or if you have Goku and Vegeta, you can just pay 5 and slap this guy on top of those 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Triple attack. Twice per turn when this card attacks, switch this card to active mode after the battle. So it gets to swing 3 times. And what's triple strike mean?
It means it deals 3 damage every time it deals damage.
So this is swinging 3 times for 3 damage after allowing Goku and Vegeta to attack. This seems fucking insane, bro. That seems broken. That seems cracked. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is unbelievably like busted, unless the deck it's played in is just dog shit. Like we saw Son Son Goku before, right? Which you said was pretty like middling, was pretty like not crazy. So, I mean, I'm going to say that if you're playing the Son Goku deck, or is there like another Son Goku card?
Oh yeah, there's like even in set 1, there were like 3 different Goku decks.
Oh, so you can just play like, yeah, then this card must be broken. There's got to be a good Son Goku and a good Vegeta. This card has to be busted.
Yeah, this card's never seen play.
Never? Wow, really?
Yeah, so like, don't get me wrong. It's huge. It swings a lot, deals a lot of damage. The problem is that it has no protection, right?
Yeah.
Jiren's really good because it has protection. This one first, it costs 5, so it's effectively ending your turn. And there's so many cards that like prevent the attack or stop the turn or stuff like that. You're just essentially building up this huge boss monster that can either just die really easily or just never actually gets through.
At least the card looks cool.
Secret rares look awesome, and I will say this is an anomaly. Usually secret rares in this game are absolutely nuts. We've got SS3 Bardock, Power Unleashed.
So Xeno Evolve 5, so I assume this means pay 5. Play this card in active mode by sending the specified card from a battle area to your warp.
Like a banish.
Oh, okay. So you have to have a Bardock Xeno on board in order to pay 5, banish that to summon this. Inflicts 3 damage instead of 1 when attacking. When a card evolves into this card, if your leader card is black, you may choose 5 cards from your warp and place them in the drop area. That's your graveyard, right?
That's your graveyard, yeah.
If you do so, send all of your opponent's battle cards to their warp. Ooh. Banish your opponent's entire board? Hey, yo. Wait, that's kind of nice, though. But you specifically have to Xeno evolve into it. Well, it says when a card evolves into this card. I assume there are other ways to evolve into this other than this card's own effect.
No, it's really basically only the evolve effect for the most part. You do have the benefit, though, that because this is in black, black has a lot of ways to be able to play cards for free. So the Bardock you would play to evolve into this, you would actually play for free.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is you can do this fairly early on. But I mean, this doesn't feel like a card you'd want to play early on because you'd want your opponent to have like a big board so you can just go Lamau, get rid of everything. Like for a 5 and being able to play some cards for free, meaning that you'd still be able to drop this, not anytime you want, but like fairly sooner than most decks would be able to drop a 5. I feel like this card is nice.
Never seen play.
What? That makes no sense.
Black ends up often being a tempo color, and you just can't afford to pay 5. The game is like really hyper efficient. So like if you're paying 5, hopefully you're like ending the game is kind of where things need to be in terms of cards. There have been a ton of really good Bardocks, and this has probably been a card that people have considered as an option. But unfortunately, black isn't a very defensive color. So if you play this and this is the only thing you're doing, and then your opponent has an answer for it, you're kind of just wide open afterwards.
Right. No protection.
We've got Gogeta Hero Revived.
So triple strike, which means it deals 3 damage instead of 1. Okay, I'm learning. Union Fusion, pay 2 blue and 3 anything. Son Goku and Vegeta, so same thing as the other Goku card.
Yeah, so difference here is that the Goku and Vegeta come from your hand as opposed to on the board.
Oh, okay, interesting. So if you have this in hand plus Goku and Vegeta.
Plus Goku and Vegeta, yeah.
Barrier and Deflect, I assume means he has some amount of protection from stuff.
Barrier means on the board he can't be targeted, and Deflect means that he isn't impacted by counterplays.
Sparking 10. This skill takes effect when you have 10 or more cards in your drop area. When you play this card, if you have 5 or more energy, choose 1 card from your life and place it in your drop area, and your opponent shuffles all cards in their hand into their deck, then draws 3. If this says if you have 5 or more energy, does it have to be active energy or can it be tapped energy?
Nope, it could be the 5 you paid for this Union Fusion.
I'm gonna be honest. Okay, I'm gonna say it, bro. I don't think this card is that good. I don't know. Shuffling your opponent's hand and they draw 3. I mean, I guess you say like gaining card advantage in this game is not hard. So maybe like your opponent will have like fucking 12 cards in their hand when you use this and you drop them by 9 cards. I feel like card advantage probably makes some amount of sense, but you don't touch anything on their board. It feels to me like it's not crazy. It could totally be crazy. Like if you told me this card's crazy, I'd believe it. But initially, I don't feel like this card's that nuts.
Yeah, your lingering hunch was actually correct. This card was insane.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Like it is not uncommon for this card to neg your opponent like 10 cards out of hand. And it's the fact that at that point, they've like sculpted their hand and now it's random. And usually you know that you're playing against this. So you need very specific cards to try and deal with it. It's effectively the fact that your opponent loses all options. It has protection. You can't do anything to it when it comes onto the board.
Fair.
And then it deals 3 damage, which by the time you're at 5 energy, your opponent's probably already there anyways. So it's closing out the game and saying, hey, if you don't draw an out in your first 3 cards, that's it. It's over.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I guess protection seems really good on cards in this game.
Yeah, it becomes super important. It wasn't really a thing in the first 3 to 4 sets, but then the more and more removal got better, more cards just ended up. Essentially, for a card to be good in this day and age, it needs to have some form of barrier or deflect or both.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Moving on, going back to a little younger year, we got Son Goku Eye for an Eye.
Auto 2 red. So I assume what this means is on summon, pay 2 red to do something?
So whenever this trigger happens is when it gives you the ability to be able to pay those 2 red. So here, when this card's in your life is flipped face up by one of your red skills, that's when you would be able to pay 2 if you want to trigger the rest of the ability.
Okay, so if your leader card is a red Earthling only card, when this card in your life is flipped face up by one of your red card skills, you may place the top card of your deck in your life. Your life, I assume it's random like in Pokemon?
Correct, yeah. It's random shuffled at the start of the turn and everything's face down.
Okay, then play this face up card from your life. If you didn't play a card, place this face-up card in your drop area from your life. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. This doesn't feel too nuts. I don't know. I don't know how realistic it is, but like this feels like you have to RNG have this in your life, which I guess with 8 and this card being a 4 of in your deck, it's pretty likely that you'll have at least 1 in your life, but I feel like taking that gamble and then this feels like it doesn't do anything if it's like if you draw it or if it's not in your life. So this feels like you're taking like a gamble on a potentially decent effect, which it doesn't even feel that crazy. Yeah, I'm going to say this is probably not very good.
Yeah, no, 100% not great. To be honest, the life flip deck was actually not bad. There were ways that you could manipulate and put stuff in your life, which then allows you to like flip and stuff like that. And that deck was actually not bad, but this card just wasn't viable for it. You're spending 2 energy to be able to get a battle card on board that you could just like, hey, if it swings, you'll just combo away from it and then kill it next turn.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yo, what's my score so far? Am I doing good?
Yeah, I think you're doing pretty solid here. I think for the majority of them, you're pretty spot on, except for like a couple. I'll give them to you. There's a couple intricacies about Dragon Ball. They've been ramping back into locals.
Okay, so Son Goku, the Awakened Power. Another secret rare, so you can only have 1. X Evolve. 1, so it costs 1. Place 1 Universe 7 from your hand in the drop area. Universe 7, Son Goku with an energy cost of 6 or more. So this is saying pay 1 and then basically discard a Goku that costs 6 or more?
It's saying pay 1, pitch any Universe 7, and then you play this card on top of the Goku that costs 6 or more. So you need a 6 or more on board.
So this card does effectively cost 7, I suppose, unless you got a 6 or more or you cheated 1 out or something.
Yeah, cheating 1 out's not that hard in this game.
When you deal damage by attacking with this card, you win the game. Okay, this card's attack and skill cannot be negated, but it doesn't have any protection, so I assume if this is hitting the board, if your opponent has any form of interruption, your attack is not going through, therefore you will not be winning the game. Like, they can't negate your attack, but I assume they have some form of removal that can just clear this guy, I suppose. So I'm gonna go with this card is probably not good. It's probably cheeks.
You're like 90% right. This card was really good in like 2 decks.
Okay.
And in those decks, this was the win con. Like, this is how you got there. This early in the game, interaction was just starting to be around, but you could set up your board in a way where they couldn't have interaction. Like, you could tap all of their energy, which means they wouldn't have any resources to be able to play, and then you would go into this and then win out the game. And usually those decks are really good because since you only need to deal damage once, you're never hitting your opponent, so you're never giving them additional cards to out you.
That's actually pretty smart, yeah, because that dodges the comeback mechanic of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So super annoying. And also, actually, fun fact of this card, it's actually considered like the holy grail of the card game. So like, this is like Dragon Ball's Black Lotus, essentially.
Oh shit. Okay.
Not crazy, but peak COVID, this card was going for like $5,000. So
oh wow. Okay, nice.
Came from like a super limited set and everything. So, but for the most part, you're right. This card only saw play in that very specific place, but for the most part, never really saw play outside of that format.
Okay, sick.
Moving on to our first Overwhelm card, Fu Shrouded in Mystery. Overwhelm is essentially like an alternate paying cost. You send your cards from your graveyard to your banish.
So Overwhelm 10. So you pay 6, and if you have at least 10 cards in your drop area, you can play this card by sending all cards in your drop area to your warp at the end of that turn. So you don't pay the 6.
You do pay the 6 as opposed to paying the 10. So it's 6 plus send all that cards. A lot of black cards, however, don't have an energy cost. Yeah. And they'll be like just a free, like, hey, banish all your cards. You're able to play this card.
Okay. Overwhelm can be activated once per turn. Double strikes. That means 2 damage. When you play this card using Overwhelm, your opponent cannot activate skills on cards other than their leader card until the beginning of your next turn. So basically, this feels like it floodgates your opponent in general. So they're just not able to do anything on their following turn. I don't know, man. This feels like it could be fucking insane. Like, it feels like it also could be dog shit. And like, I feel like that effect probably doesn't matter too much unless you're closing out the game then and there. If you're paying 6, you best be closing out the game rather than floodgating your opponent. This feels like it's too expensive for what it does. I'm gonna go with that. It's not crazy because it's too expensive.
This card's actually banned.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So oddly enough, it being a 10 cost is really relevant here because a lot of counter plays that would prevent it hit from hitting play don't hit cards that are this expensive. They'll usually hit like 6 drops or less or 5 drops or less.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that it's a 10 is actually pretty good. And then the way that this actually works, your opponent can't activate skills, which means even if they try to play something once it hit the board, it prevents that activation.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So effectively, the really good usages for this card are that like you have like a board set up to turn right before, and then you dump this guy, and then your opponent can't activate anything, which means that like the only out they have is hopefully they have enough cards in their hand to pitch away to not take damage.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it.
To be fair, it's not always broken. This was only really good in like control metas because against an aggro deck, like paying 6 against this, you're probably dead by the time you get there.
Okay, sick.
Last secret rare, sorry, second last card here. We've got Arcane Absorption Majin Buu.
This card looks fucking sick. Holy.
Yeah, it's super. It's like, and in print, it's like actual full gold print.
Love that. Okay, triple strike, easy peasy. Activate main 6, choose 1 evil wizard Babidi card in your drop area or warp. Play the chosen card, then play this card from your hand on top of the card you played with this skill. When you do that, do you have to also pay the cost of the evil wizard Babidi you are playing or no?
Nope, that's free. Whenever a Dragon Ball card says play this from this zone, it's always for free.
When you play this card, if there is an evil wizard Babidi card under this card, choose up to 5 Agent of Destruction cards from your drop area or warp and play them. For free? This card's broken.
For free.
This has to be broken. It has to be broken.
This card is fine in the one deck it was played in.
Okay, damn. This card seems broken. That's soul charge right there. That's crazy.
I've lost this card. It's like, because yeah, your opponent is playing like 30 energy worth of stuff for free. It's just getting there for that deck is really tough. And it actually turns out that there are a couple of secret rares that you would just rather play in those decks that have a bit more utility. Yeah, your beat sticks will get there by themselves. So you kind of want more of a utility flex spot as opposed to like an Armageddon, I'ma just destroy you type of card.
Fair. That's fair. Okay.
Super cool. People were super high on this card. They thought this card was going to warp the entire meta, but then again, it only ever as good as the Agent Destructions are, and they're fine.
Now I read that. I was like, that seems fucking insane.
Last one here, arguably one of the most, if not the most iconic Dragon Ball card in history, Furthering Destruction Champa.
Okay, so this is either fucking busted or really ass. This might be the Jerry Beans man of the game. When you combo with this card, choose one of your attacking cards. It gains double strike. This card inflicts 2 damage instead of 1 when attacking for the duration of the battle. So combo means like when you pitch this to buff your guy by 10k, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems pretty mid. Costs 3?
Yeah, so to pitch it though, cards have a combo cost. Sometimes they cost 0, sometimes they cost 1.
Costs 1 to pay to buff by 10k and then give double strike to a guy.
Yeah, this costs energy to combo away.
This seems really bad. This seems completely pointless. This seems really ass. I'm gonna go with that. It's really ass.
There isn't a single card in the game that has killed more opponents than Furthering Destruction Champa.
Really? This is like a Kalute?
Yo, this card is banned. Yeah, it's Kalute, but like insane.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So basically here, you're just always in a position where your last, you know, like there's always this saying like the only life point that matters is your last one. Yeah. Well, this effectively says it's not your last life that matters, it's your 2 last life. And because it's in the combo step, this is after blockers, this is after like any attack negations.
So your opponent has to like be mindful of, oh, if he has this, I lose, so I might have to block this attack or whatever.
Yeah. So there are no more common board states than going in, your opponent saying no negates, no blocks, and then you just dump your entire hand and just be like, all right, hope you have enough combo to out me, dude.
That's insane. Okay. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, this is just Kalute, but like that's kind of crazy. That's nuts. And you said this card's banned?
Yeah, it's banned. It got banned like a year ago.
Wild. Okay. Yeah, I did not expect that. I read that. I was like, that seems super mid, but I could see how this is good.
It also goes in any deck, right? So like that's the benefit is that you can just include the cheeky one of, and you never know if your opponent's running it or not. So
fair. Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me, Coder. Honestly, I think your intuition's there. I think you're ready
I think I did a decent job. I did okay.
Yeah. I think you're ready to, I think you're lining up real good to hit up the regional circuit going into next year. So
oh yeah, 100%,
I'm super excited
totally.
for you there. Thank you so much for joining me and looking over Dragon Ball cards.
Well, no problem. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.